guys I used to play with when I was a kid on DeSoto. But for me, I didn't like I said, I started boxing when I was probably like 16. And I played in the summertime, like back in our day was Operation Teamwork. So that's what I played with. And Operation Teamwork was basically like the summer program the city had where kids played with the community center that's in their neighborhood. And they played the other community centers that has basketball teams in other neighborhoods.
So like, what was your community center over there? What was the community center over there?
We had Northside and we had St. James. So I was playing on both of those teams. And because we even just to give you a little history, I played with as a kid with BJ Jefferson. They played at Lafayette.
Okay,
and me and him grew up together. We grew up on the same street, but he was like 2 blocks up from me. And we used to play against who becoming his teammate was Terry Laney.
Right.
Me and BJ used to play against their teams all the time.
Yeah.
So,
man, I remember them days, man. And Sean, man, we go back to, man, I can just remember Sean was like the person that if you was in our neighborhood, you had to go see him play, no matter what. If it was in the playground, if it was in his backyard, if it was somewhere like, I mean, and he already know this. Like, he inspired me to pick up a basketball and want to play because, you know, you just hear about this guy in the neighborhood, man, this baby Jordan. And at the time, you know, I'm just putting down my wrestling men, you know, and I'm big into wrestling and playing with toys. And I'm like, man, who is baby Jordan? And all Sean, and you can kind of tie into this. And I don't know if you remember, but a long time ago, I asked you, I said, man, how you learn how to play basketball? And you told me, man, you watched Michael Jordan Playground. And from then on, I was like, Michael Jordan Playground. And man, that just opened up a whole new world to me. So kind of talk about, like, when was the first time you picked up a basketball?
Well, it was really in middle school, Williams Middle. We played a little bit in Farragut, you know, I guess in, you know, recess and all that kind of stuff. But it was really at Williams Middle, and you know, playing around with the guys. I realized I like playing, so I kind of got into it and tried to get better at it. And then I guess that's when I discovered Michael Jordan.
Right.
And just watching them play the Chicago Bulls, and it kind of tied into Magic and, you know, Lakers and Celtics with Bird and all them. But Jordan caught my eye, so just started, you know, doing what he did.
Right.
And I never played organized until high school. So we played a lot in middle school. And we played so much in middle school, they would make us, like, we had, sometimes we couldn't go to lunch, go to the gym, and play around and go outside. So a few of the guys, we would skip lunch and go in the bathroom, and we had a Nerf basketball net and a Nerf ball. So we would skip lunch and be in the bathroom playing basketball with a Nerf ball and a Nerf goal. And we laugh about it to this day. But that's what we did. We were so into it that, you know, it was a part of our lives, and we enjoyed it. So I just got better, and I learned to jump. I learned that I could jump in middle school. So, and Bryan, as you know, in the neighborhood, we rode our bikes a lot.
Yeah.
And I worked on all the bikes in the neighborhood. So riding the bikes and running and all that, I learned that I could jump. And I think back to it, and I think the bike had a lot to do with it. You riding the bike so much.
And that's the crazy thing, even with like this generation, and just me coming in contact with a lot of parents, and it's like it's no easy fix in trying to develop a athlete growing up. Like, you can try your best, and like what you said, Left, like some folks may start off with one sport and then transition to another sport, and then here you are as a parent and put all your eggs in one basket, trying to hone this skill into this child at a young age, and they might not even love it to the point where they want to continue do it. Like, we all see kids that start off as one of the toughest and like eye-opening type of folks. But then 1 year, 2 years in, they fall out of love with it. But like kind of what both of you guys are saying is y'all did other things, and those other
Yeah.
things kind of got you to the point where your skill level or certain skills started maturing based off some of the other things that you did. So like left with you boxing, the footwork is just like, your footwork and your conditioning, and then the toughness, because I remember you was always one of the people that when we played, you never wanted to call foul. And
Nah.
that was one of the things that, that kind of stood out to me. And I was just like, man, this dude getting hacked, hit upside the head, they grabbing. Man, I'm trying to win this game, man. If you don't call fouls, let me get this ball back, man. And you just be like, man, I don't call fouls. I don't call fouls.
Hey, you know what? You know what? In that, and I think I made a joke in one of the videos that I did. It was like, I knew that whoever shot the ball when we played at Beaumont, we didn't have to worry about the rebound. We knew left was gonna get the rebound, so we could almost just break out of the huddle and fast break. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't want to be down there trying to wrestle with left, trying to get the rebound. You're gonna get an elbow or something. So, yeah, I remember that.
And so let's just talk a little bit about, so what was life like in, let's say, like middle school, making that transition to Beaumont? Because one thing that stood out for me and Sean, I mean, we went to pretty much all the neighborhood schools from Farragut to Williams to Beaumont, but I will never forget like me having older cousins, and it was a movie that came out back in the day, Lean on Me. And every time I watched Lean on Me, I always used to think, and I had this vision of, man, Beaumont was like that. Like, man, so talk about like your experience going into Beaumont and thinking about, hey, what is it gonna be like, and how was your experience? How both of you guys was your early experiences at Beaumont High School?
Well, for me, go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Well, for me, it was. I say it was a little bit difficult because we moved a lot. So middle school, I went to 3 middle schools. When I went to 4 middle schools, starting off. So I started off at Simmons, then we moved, and I went to Blewett for like 6th and 7th grade. Then it was 3 middle schools. Then I ended up going to Riverview. I finished my 8th grade year in Riverview, and then I went to from Riverview I went to like I went to a year in Riverview High School. Then I couldn't take it no more. I ain't know nobody. I was just like, Mom, I feel like an outcast because nobody I grew up with. I ain't know because everybody at those schools knew each other. They all grew up with each other, so they was familiar. Everybody was comfortable. Like, I ain't know nobody. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Coming from the city, you knew how to gang bang in the city. Like out there, they Christian Bloods was friends, so I wasn't used to that. So, you know what I'm saying? That's when the first time I ever heard of a gangster disciple was when I was at Riverview. I didn't know what that was. I just knew about the Crips and the Bloods or whatnot. But I just couldn't get with it. So I ended up moving back to the city and living with my dad, and then that's how I ended up coming to Beaumont. And part of my freshman year from Riverview to Beaumont. So then I felt more comfortable.
You say you felt comfortable going because you pretty much knew everybody from the neighborhood there.
Neighborhoods, right. I knew everybody that I grew up with from the neighborhood. At Beaumont, I felt more comfortable. At Beaumont, it just felt like home. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But as far as just going through all the trials and tribulations, I tell, like, if I ain't ever told y'all this story, that I was just in the gym playing around, then doing gym. And I tell Tori every time I see him, man, I tell him I thank him because I feel like he saved my life by seeing me play and asking me to come and try out for the team. Because, for me, I didn't know about playing high school basketball or ever thought about playing basketball or any of that. So, you know what I'm saying? I was just almost just out there. Mm-hmm. So when he can't ask me to come, say, yeah, I'll come out and try. I didn't think, but when I came out to try, only thing I was hearing was Sean. They were like, man, you got it. Sean is. They was like, Sean is. Sean, I even telling me, Sean. So when the open gym started to try for the team, I think we was freshmen. Yeah. When we trying out for the team, Only thing I remember, because it was what year was this? 93, 94 year, I think, or one of 95, one of them years, because Steve and Javon there was all still there. And the only thing I can remember is seeing little Steve on the side and me checking Sean, saying, Sean, kill him. He can't check you. I'm like, man, why is it? But when I started to see Sean play and I seen his jumping ability as we the same age, I'm like, how is this dude jumping this high? And we the same age. Like, I don't get it, but just for me playing with him and getting to know him and making the team and just playing on the B team, man, he made me want to get better as a player because I'm like, man, this dude game is like so I never seen it before.
Right,
so,
right.
Like,
I tell people all the time, and not to cut you off, but when Kobe came on the scene and we started seeing Kobe and like his mannerisms and the way he moved and all of that, the first thing that I always had in my head was that like that's Sean. Like that, like dude, like that's your clone, man. But it's going back to when I think about it to where and then it's basically how Kobe always looked up to Jordan growing up and kind of got his footwork, his pattern, all these different work ethic type things that they incorporated in their game. So to see somebody like Sean at that age doing that, comparing it to Jordan, so it made me automatically think, man, Kobe didn't study Jordan throughout the year when I first saw him. So it's funny that you said that, but nah, that's interesting. So Torrey just came in the gym and said, "Left, man, why don't you just come out for the team?"
I didn't even know Torrey. That's the thing. He said, "Hey man, you can play a little bit. Hey, why don't you come out for the team?" Because Torrey was a freshman.
Got it. Okay.
So he was like, so it was like my sophomore year when I got there. So I got the late freshman year going to my sophomore. Torrey was like, "Man, why don't you come out for the team? Like you play pretty good." And then when I came out for the team, you know what I'm saying? What it did for me making that team and playing, it created another lane for me and not fall in that same trap that I seen most of my friends I came to high school with do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just staying in the hood, selling drugs, skipping school. You know what I'm saying? Just the same old that we see repetitively every year with your friends that you start school with, not gonna be your friends who you finish school with. Right. So. Right. And it's like when I created that brotherhood, because you got to think people don't know me, Corey, and Corey Spinks, and Tyron who passed. He gave him the name Itty Bitty because he was real short, but he can play. So us three all came to high school together, played, but I'm the only one who graduated. But with me creating that brotherhood with the other guys, it gave me some other people that I can lean on to talk to and hang out with besides the guys outside my neighborhood. Right. And when I seen, you know what I'm saying, what I loved about the game of basketball, what it did for me, it gave me some structure and some discipline and knowing that if I wanted to play, I had to keep my grades up. So and then then with all that came the girls. So you can't. You can't. You know,
so almost at the top of the list. But yeah,
right. But man, I'm telling you. So Sean, so what was your vision like when you came in, or what was your thought process of going into school? And you could have had. Did you even think about basketball when you came in, or was it just something where it was like, let me just go to the neighborhood school and just see what could happen?
Well, as you probably know, for me, me playing at Williams, I kind of grew up with everybody. I live right behind Beaumont, so I knew that when I went to Beaumont, I knew who was going to be at the school. I knew the neighborhood guys. Even if some guys like Lefty came in from across the park or wherever, I was at home. So I really didn't have that worry. I knew it was going to be a bunch of new people, unfamiliar territory and all that, but I wasn't really worried about it. So, but I knew going in from us playing basketball at Beaumont in the parking lot before they took the basketball goals down and all that I wanted to get inside of Beaumont to play basketball. And I wanted to show those guys that was in there what I could do, because by that time I had developed the ability to jump, and I learned how to use it from playing in the alley.
Yeah.
With you at your house, down the street at the other alley at Travis' house and all that. So I had developed how to play. I had never played organized. And truth be told, I really didn't learn how to play until Bird came along, Coach Bird. But
Man,
so everything in
say
between that
everything.
time with Coach, everything in between time with Coach Cole and Rogers and all that. Coach Rogers was like, he couldn't really, I guess, figure out my talent. He was just like, Sean, just go.
Go.
Right.
Like I was like on the court the whole time. He just go. So I knew the plays and all that, but as far as the fundamentals, how to dribble, how to spin moves, how to do all that, that's the stuff that I learned from the neighborhood. If I didn't pick it up out in the streets, then I didn't know it. But the Bird came along. I kind of learned some of the stuff with Coach Cole and Vic. I kind of learned some of the stuff with them, but it really didn't kick in. The Bird came along, so I felt like I was kind of cheated out of some time.
Man,
I could have been better. Because when that time came along, I could actually play. I can make the moves that I wanted to make. Now, Bird actually stripped me away from my Jordan style.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't want me doing the moves and stuff that I was doing in my sophomore year and freshman year. So I felt like I was stripped from some game, but I also learned the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of still half-cocked, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get in there and do all the stuff with what I had learned from Bird. I wanted to take that and put it with what I knew from Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, play like crazy. But so I didn't want to be on the bench though. So I learned to just cut back.
Yeah. And it's funny just talking about just when we throw those names out there as far as the coaches and just to give folks who are listening like an overview of what was going on at the time, and y'all can kind of chime in because was it you guys freshman year that actually students started going back to Beaumont, because Beaumont had went like maybe a year or 2 years when they moved out of the actual building and they renovated the building, and then you guys had to go back into the building. So that was a dynamic within itself that was going on to where it may cause some kind of dysfunction with just y'all progress as just being students, as just growing up, to where y'all bouncing around from school to school. And it's really like no way to kind of just say, let me just stay with either this group of guys and like, I guess the unknown. So kind of speak on that a little bit as far as making that transition back to the actual school.
Well, I guess when I got there, Beaumont was brand new. They had already renovated the place. So when I got in, it was some the previous, I guess the seniors or the juniors, they had made that transition. When I got in, there was no interruption.
Okay.
We were just into the brand new building. So we had a chance to enjoy it all 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and because it's funny because when we talk about Coach Vic, Coach Cole, I was going to Williams. And just from just being around the neighborhood, like, Sean, I was always over at your house in the alley playing around and stuff. And so a lot of the guys, and you know how it is, right after school, you want to hang out at the school. So I'm going to Williams, and right after school, I see a group of kids going down to Farragut to practice. And I'm like, man, y'all going to hoop? Because like what you was just saying, Sean, we can never get in places. Like with this generation, it's kind of hard for them to understand that it was actually hoops outside of pretty much every grade school around St. Louis. So it was nothing to pick up a ball and go play on the blacktop, but actually getting inside the school and being on a court and inside of a court playing some like structure and organized. That was what was missing. So when I finally got a group, I saw a group walking down to Farragut to practice, I pulled them guys to the side and I'm like, man, where y'all going? And the first thing they said, we about to go to practice. So I go in and I start practicing with the team. And I think Raj might have thought that I was a freshman at the school. Now here I am, this 7th, 8th grade, and he like, oh man, I'm gonna give you a jersey. You gonna play. And God bless the dead man, Marlon Boogie. He was like, man, B, you can't play, man. That's gonna mess up all your high school eligibility. And I'm just like, nah, man, he just gonna throw me a jersey. Won't nobody know. But it goes back to like what we saying when we come into high school. We don't know all of the rules and the ramifications of things as far as the Misha guidelines. What all we know is that you can't flunk out, so you got to have good grades.
Right.
So speak to the process of playing JV and either making that transition to varsity or not want to make that transition to varsity based on what was going on at the school.
I say for me, like I didn't think about playing varsity when we was on B10 because I felt like the B team, I felt like our B team was better than the varsity team because they sucked.
The Olympic team, like, we were the dream team,
right? So we was like, man, y'all, we ain't coming up. Because they tried to Cole. It was Cole and I forgot it was
Vic.
Another administrator and Vic. They was trying to get us to come up. And we was like, no, we don't want to come up. But we end up coming up. Right, they lose too much. So we end up coming up after the B team season when it's over though. And we played then. But see, like for me, mentally, I didn't really know what was going on. Right. Like I didn't understand the difference between the varsity and B team. Like I understand that these the juniors and seniors on the team, but I didn't know it was a big thing to be a freshman, sophomore to be on varsity and step on the court and play.
So this was you guys. So what was this? This was you guys freshman year or sophomore year?
Sophomore year.
Okay.
Sophomore. They tried to get me up there as a freshman. And because I was on the court with all the varsity players, I was on the court with them, and they was like, "Man, I need to bring this guy up here with us." Right. I'm like, "No, I don't want to come up there with y'all. I don't even,
y'all ain't finna snatch a plug out my head."
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't even know enough. I feel comfortable playing, but I don't know enough to play with y'all. That was the thing for me. I was still learning how to exist in a what is that? In that, with all the rules and organized, the organized game. I was still learning all that. So
and I think for us, man, like what just to step on what Sean said, like we're having Cole and Vic and Rogers. They was some very old fashioned coach at that time, and they still wanted to coach as if we was playing in the 80s. And I'm like, man, like with me and Sean, and then with Ozell being the point guard, we had on B team, we had a very good B team. Like people don't know, like I still keep it as a check in my book because I can say I beat Vashon even though it's the B team game when we beat them at Vashon. So, but my thing is that like with Coach Rogers, like the way he was coaching us, like he was a no nonsense coach, but he's almost like a mini version of Bird in a sense of like you got to do it his way, press, like don't take your foot off the gas. But what he didn't do for us is give us the fundamentals part of the game. He just say, I know y'all can play.
Just go with your natural ability and leave it out there.
And just like what Sean was saying, like for me, that's when I really started playing organized basketball. Like I really never had any fundamentals. Like I could really like I can call myself like I was like a late bloomer hooper because I never really tapped into what all I can really do. Like during the summertime, I went in no gym putting up shots.
Right.
I was in the neighborhood hanging out with everybody else, trying to get a summer job, put a little money in my pocket. But you know what I'm saying? Like I think if me and Sean was in today's social media with everything, we probably would be able to go D1 easily and be on somebody's court. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But I hate the fact that I wish Bird could have been there my junior year.
Right.
To where, because man, I feel like Sean, man. I just like, man, I was looking, I was like, man, what we was doing, our senior when he came, after we got roasted in them 3 games over in Alton, and he brought, I don't know if he brought you or Sean into the office and talked about what he wanted to do differently. Because he was like, hey, what we doing ain't working. Like, our big guys basically suck, which was Dwight, who ended up quitting. I can't think of whoever else he considered to be a big man, but he was like, look, this is what we're going to do. He said, I'm going to move you to center. I say, center? I say, I'm like, man, I ain't never like 6'1". He say, I'm gonna put you at center. Then that's because he moved White to the bench, moved me. That's how he said. Then he said, I'm gonna start Bryan. He said, what you think about that? I say, Carl, I don't care what you do. I just want to win. He say, bet. And then that's how BT started. I think that was the first game we played against Sumner. When I think, well, I don't know if that was your first start or not, but like after he switched the lineup, man, we just took off running.
Mm-hmm.
Like man, we was beating teams, winning in tournaments that nobody expected us to go beat Venice. When they had Marcus Allen and them boys over there going to beat Collinsville, we killed U City and U City. You know what I'm saying? Then
they hate to hear that to this day, and I keep having to bring that up. It's like, man, we went in U City. Y'all had a band. Y'all had cheerleaders. It was jam packed, and we ended up, man. We was raising back in the day when you used to raise the roof. Man, we was raising the roof up in U City. So
man, I'm talking about it was like total, like what we was doing was total shock to everybody, man. Mm-hmm. And with Bird coming in and like putting them fundamentals that we was missing,
right?
As a team and as a players for me and Sean, it helped our game. But if we had another year or two under Bird, man, we'd been, especially with the core guys that he had coming in, we would have ran away with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that what you? If you could say, Sean, if you could change something going back then, that you would have just hoped that Coach would have just at least been there like your junior year. You could say that too.
I was actually praying for somebody like Bird to come along, because they had me playing a position that I was playing center.
Because you could jump.
Coach Cole. Yeah, Cole and Vic had me at center. I look at some of those games on the tape now, and I'm like, there's no way I should have been down in the paint. I shouldn't have been down in the paint at all. I can shoot and all that. I can pass. I shouldn't be down in the paint. And I was screaming like down there. I'm trying to get open. I'm flagging. I'm down there with guys 6'6" and all. Why am I down here? But and then the plays that we were running were like outdated and
flex.
Yeah, man.
You got all dogs out there trying to make y'all think, man. Why don't y'all just let us hoop? You trying to think too much.
Yeah. So I think I had been asking for somebody like Bird to come along. So when he came along in our senior year, we learned so much fast, so quick. But we already knew how to run the plays. We already knew what to do. But when you added that structure and plays that would actually work, then it took everything to a different level for me. And so I felt like we were cheated a little bit, because had we been able to run like that 3 years or 4 years or whatever, it was no team in the league we couldn't have beat.
Right, because it's kind of like we peaked around, and I'm not going to even say peak, but when we started getting our footing was, I would probably say Christmas tournament. We finished second. We lost to Berkeley, I think, in the Normandy Christmas tournament.
That was on me. I missed them 2 goddamn free throws to tie the game. I ain't gonna forget that.
But you got to think, you had a Berkeley at the time where they were starting maybe a kid like 6'7", then they had another athlete.
You remember Damien played with them.
They had Damien. They had Damien.
Damien, and so they had length, and I think they were one of the teams that were ranked in the area. And here we are when nobody even talking about us. Like we started off kind of bad, like you said. We lost our first 3 games, and it was embarrassing
because our varsity was so bad the previous years.
Right.
Nobody expected us to play well because our varsity was so bad the previous year. Even Bird came in saying that.
Right, and I ain't gonna remember the bus ride back, man. After we got blown out by all they bust the clock on us, and we had the nerve to be on the bus joning, because and Bryan was on there joining on Rodney.
On Rodney too.
Yeah, man, he's on there joining on Rodney. Bird stood up. He said, "Well, I don't know what y'all laughing for. Y'all just got y'all ass. We got these new damn uniforms. Y'all in these shoes looking good. You got me looking bad. I'm gonna put y'all back in that old shit." But
right.
So the thing is, man, when Bird came, and even with he brought I think he brought Mono with him, and with them guys, with them guys, man, what they did for us my senior year, man, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't be more happy. I just could have wished we could have played in the PHL championship because I felt like we earned that right to, and it got taken away from us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and our uniforms and stuff was a big thing too. So I see the uniforms that are out now. You know, that's great, but the stuff we had to play in was embarrassing. You know, it was you really didn't want to play.
Right.
You know, because
like
our shorts were small. Yeah. Yeah, so it was a lot of that. You know, when you step out on the court, you know, you want everybody to have the same shoes on. You know, I remember we all had different shoes, and some shoes wasn't supposed to be on the court at all.
But not just that though, Sean, man. Like y'all had blue shorts, and then y'all playing white tops. Like, and then the tops, I don't even think were basketball tops. They were like boy volleyball shirts or just something.
That was the year before we had him. I ain't playing that.
But it looked a mess, and so Bird was like a breath of fresh air coming in because he's like, look, I'm gonna show y'all how to do this. Like, it was already like a hidden talent of y'all having some hoopers over there.
Well,
and now it's like, let me put them on the stage and get them fresh and clean them up. Now we ready to compete for some championships.
Yeah, and people don't know. I seen you. We only lost 2 PHL games, which to Vashon and Roosevelt.
That's right.
We only lost
I think we lost to Roosevelt at ROTC.
Yep. We only lost 2 games that whole year in the PHL.
Yeah, and I think that was just us kind of. I mean, we were coasting all the year because I'll never forget us going over to Collinsville, which was like a shock.
Man, because
a PHL team was not supposed to go and play in that conference and win a game at Collinsville. It was unheard of.
Man, we walked into the gym. I'm like, man, this is the best gym I ever been. This is a high school gym.
Look like SLU. It looked like SLU.
I'm saying, like, when we smacked Cardinal Riddle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of teams that we wasn't supposed to beat, we did. Like we was beating a lot of teams, man. And I always hunt back like, man, why couldn't we just play Vashon that one last time, my senior year, win or lose, however. But I think, in all honesty, I felt like Floyd knew it was something in the water.
It was something. That's right.
It was something, y'all. There was something big was going to happen that day, and Floyd took that away from us. Man.
He knew we were ready. We had played together for a while, and we were ready. He had been watching us beat everybody else.
Because I knew that he was, because I knew when he asked me, as we, you walk through the lines at the game, shaking hands, teams, like he asked me what grade was I in. You know what I'm saying? He was like, hey, what grade you in? You know what I'm saying? Just to see if he gonna have to see me next year or you know what I'm saying? So
that's kind of unfortunate, even having to deal with like not ending your career on your own circumstances. And that's how I feel for even the kids, even like last year dealing with this COVID stuff, that it's like, your season can just be up just like that without even no type of explanation, whatsoever. So it's like, it's heartbreaking, but I think, we all go through things in life to kind of make us hard to prepare us for the next changes. But what was some of the things that you guys could say that put you guys in a business mind frame to say, let me start thinking about being a young entrepreneur and start thinking about other avenues for myself? Because, like a lot of us think that we can make it to the league, but I want young folks that's listening to this to understand that, you can come from North St. Louis, you can come from a public high, but you can also be successful and have dreams and be able to pursue your dreams and then also be successful at it. So what can you say or give advice to them about that?
Well, from what I'm thinking is that game that we didn't play was the biggest upset for us as seniors against Vashon. We didn't get a chance to play. So I knew then at that moment that it was bad because right before that, I don't know if you all remember, but I was going down SLU. I was going down the SLU with the Billikens. They were walking me through the locker and, trying to, encourage me to come to SLU to play for them. So they got me tickets to the games, and I'm, in the locker room with the guys, and so I'm thinking about the future. Like, hey, this is a shot for me to get to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
But when all this stuff happened, I kind of realized that it can be yanked from you at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew then that I had to start thinking about other ways to make it, because coming through, like I said, like middle school and going into high school, all I'm thinking about is the NBA.
Right.
I just got to work hard to get there. And then it's sad to say that we were not in the right league to be noticed, right school and all that. So we weren't, seen like we should have been.
Right. We went
And
household
so,
names, and what is it? A
yeah,
household team that was going to pursue all of these different national schools to say, let's
right.
take a look at this team in such a short time.
Yep. That's it. That's it. So at that moment, I knew then I had to go ahead and make the transition to my plan B. And that's when I started, the season was over. And shortly after that, school was out. So everything that I knew then in the beginning had changed. So I knew I had to hit the street.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get a job. Got to, got to figure out a way.
Welcome to the real world.
Yep. But even then, I knew that I didn't want to work.
For nobody.
I knew that even then. I knew that I didn't want to work. It's like I think back to Michael Jordan's dad saying to Michael Jordan, if he didn't make it to the NBA, he knew that boy would starve to death. So
Dang.
he had to practice. He had to be great, and that's what I live off of. Like, be great at basketball. This is your ticket. This is a way for you to, have the life that you want to have. So, yeah, when that didn't happen, I thought about what his dad said. So if this guy don't make it to the NBA, he's gonna starve to death.
Mm.
So, hit the street.
Man.
Hit the street.
Yeah,
So,
but for me, like, I didn't think about playing basketball outside of high school. Like, I ain't even think about trying to go to college to hoop. None of that. Shit. I was only told, you know what I'm saying, if you go to school, go to college, get a degree, get your degree, and you can have your decent job and have a decent life. You get a college degree. Man, that's some bull crap. Because you create a lot of debt if you ain't on scholarship and you going to school. And I feel like a lot of kids, you know what I'm saying, need to know that there's alternatives to go, because I ain't know I can go to school if I wanted to go be an electrician or plumber or any of that. I was just told to go to college. So, you know what I'm saying, that's kind of the route I went. And you know what I'm saying, and just getting a degree, but it's just like it just create a whole lot of debt for yourself, and then you get out paying on the damn college degree until you almost dead.
Right. And
So
even with that is sometimes people get the degree and then don't even pursue whatever that they decided to go to school for. You'd have just wasted 4 years or 5 years of your life and don't even love the fact of what you're doing for a living.
But see, a lot of that happens because it don't even necessarily be that they don't want to get into the field they got the degree in. They get the degree in field and realize that when you come out of school with the degree, they don't necessarily gonna get you a job making $60,000-$70,000 a year. You're gonna be working with the next person with a high school diploma making $15 an hour.
Right.
And it's like it's like almost like what I go to school for then? Like, if I'm coming here to do this. So that's how a lot of people end up going in other directions, even though they just got the degree to get them in the door. You know what I'm saying? To maybe get into upper level management or something like that. But so they ain't really got to start at the bottom, really. But I feel like, man, if you ain't going to school to be a doctor or lawyer, that's something that's gonna pay off them degrees. You know, it's almost like it's almost pointless to really go to school, because you can learn everything on YouTube now.
Yeah, and save a lot of time and a lot of headache, you know. So
and you
don't try to create a lot of debt for yourself.
You put yourself behind by getting all those loans, and you come out into the real world, and you so far behind, you can't get a loan for a car, you can't get a loan for a house,
because
a credit card,
got $90,000 in loan just on student loans. So your income to debt ratio is not gonna be the same. Like, man, that's one thing I don't like about school, man, is what they don't teach, what you're really supposed to need and know when you graduate high school and get into the real world, man.
So for the people that's listening, what were some of the best resources that you guys can say that kind of helped you along the way to kind of navigate through, being able to sustain yourself. And then, like I said, being successful in what you do, like, as far as being a business owner, Sean, and you left as far as having successful businesses. So what are some of the resources that you can kind of share with everybody that can kind of help them along the way? If we have like a senior, like I may have a senior on my team that may think the same thing as far as, hey, let me just go out and try to, create something or become a business owner. Like what are some of the resources that they can reach out to try to use or avenues they can take?
Right, man. Right now, I mean, I can just say back then when we was coming out of high school, if it was a lot of resources, we wasn't really told about them unless we had to go find out ourselves. But like now, all the resources is so readily available. You can all you got to do is sit down at the computer and look up what it is you want you to do. And it can be a whole structured plan on how to do it, what to do it, what you need to do to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with that too is from high school. I think you need to listen to the people like us, even though we come and tell the kids stuff that they probably don't want to hear. It's a waste of time right now. I think that they need to listen to people like us because I tell my little cousin this all the time. It's easier for me to turn him into a millionaire at his age than it was for me at his age, and I can do it faster with him, starting off from nothing.
Right.
Because he doesn't have any debt and all that kind of stuff. It's easier for me to turn him into a millionaire and for me to have him to retire before he even gets started working. If he just listen to me and take my step by step, he'll be rich and not have to work. And he could have done this at 20 years old.
Right. So, and I mean, you guys hit it right on the nose. It's like sometimes you have to sit down and take the time to really. It's not. I mean, it's not as far as just teaching yourself, but that's really what it is. Because just like you guys have, and I thank you guys for the time that you giving me right now. But this is an example of being able to just sit down, have some time to just at least think your plan out. Because a lot of times, you know how our young folks are. They ripping and running, phone in their face. Everything is just fast, 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 and they don't really take the time to just sit down and say, man, you know what, man, this can be easy if I can just sit down and just learn this. Like you said, Left, everything you want to know is out there, and you just got to just sit down and just pay attention and put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Right, it's like at a click of a click of a button for them, man. That's all you got to do is sit down at the computer. Like for us, we have to go to the library, get on that MS DOS.
Yeah, I don't even think the internet was really out when we were in
right.
school.
That's what I'm saying. It was like we ain't had no internet. So like for us, it was really like going to the library or somebody that's in a certain game, like what they see in you, and pull you to the side and give you the game that they got to help you along the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But for us, like to be like for me, I wasn't an entrepreneur. Like I became an entrepreneur because of my wife. Like, you know what I'm saying? This just happenstance. Like like I tell people all the time, I'm not the creator of Lefties. I'm just the name. She's the creator of Lefties, and she taught me how to cook the food. So for me, like becoming a shit, like I tell all the time, like she made me a boss. I was always an employee because that's what I was always told to be.
Yeah. But on top of that though, Left, and that's one thing that I mean we can kind of pick back up on another episode, but just the fact that we all are married men, our wives play a big important piece, have a big important piece in our lives. And young folks need to be able to see that it's not, you're not less than because, you have a wife or that you're there for your wife and there for your family, because, we have this gravioso type mentality that, it's all about, being kind of, out here. But at the same time, young folks need to see that it's important. Like my coach, well, Burr used to always say 2 checks are always better than 1. And then on top of that, if folks ask me all the time, how am I able to do a lot of the things that I do? I'm like, I go home at night. I'm able to spend time, have conversations with my wife. in order to plot and plan our next move. So that right there is very important that I think, our listeners need to understand that we can maybe pick up on another time. So
we definitely gonna have to pick up again, because this is some of the stuff that I've been wanting to talk about, but I think that we can't talk to the young people too early because they have to at least go through something. They have to try things their way first, and then come back and be like, now what you say again?
Right.
What you say I need to do?
Yeah.
Because if you tell them too soon, you can't rob them of the experience. They need to go through something to see that it's not going to work your way, or I found an easier way. You try your way and learn what you can learn from that, and then come back to me. Because that's kind of what happened to me. I had somebody to drag me. I wanted to do real estate, but I had somebody that saw something in me, and I was working at the car wash at the time. In fact, some of the guys now that I deal with, I used to wash their car, and they used to tip me good. I used to love to see them pull up. But now these guys are buying property from me or getting advice from me. So it has completely turned around. Everybody that brought me into real estate at that time and did deals with me, they are now learning from me. So you have to be able to listen and learn from people that have already done it, because these are guys, when I got in, they tried to give me the information that I needed. And I'm like, nah, man, I got this figured out already. I'm going to do this my way. I'm buying my stuff. I'm going to do it my way. And then I ended up 2 months, 3 months down the line calling them like, hey, man, what you say I need to do again? So you have to let people go through that I know it all phase.
Yeah, you got to let them bump it.
Yeah. So, and I don't know, I guess to kind of, I don't know, maybe inspire a little bit. I'm out now. We're out looking at property. So my wife's niece, she just became an agent. So my wife and I are, coaching her as an agent, as a realtor. But we're on our way to go to, I'm supposed to be moving into another big place. So, and part of this is God and praying and all that, but being in position to do it, I literally probably haven't worked in a year now. And I should have done this 20 years ago. I was already there, but wanting to do different things, kind of drug me down another path. And I should have just stuck with my plan in the beginning, and I could have been where I am now 20 years ago.
Right.
But I didn't want to. I wanted a lot of stuff. I didn't want to do things the way that I should have done them. So I was hard headed and all that. So I'm now where I wanted to be then, and I could have been here. And I've been here a few times, but I kept doing the same thing.
Right.
So
but
now
I mean,
I'm setting up.
We do things, time comes around, and you where you at right now, because like you said, this is, I mean, it's like it's God's faith, because you had these visions, and he's not going to give you nothing too much that you can't handle. You may not have been able to handle all of that back then, but now you're at a situation now where you have some things, and you're able to sit down and have that understanding, or that overstanding of where you at right now. So
and been through enough now to know how to deal with, and like I said, all that stuff prepares you. So that's what I'm saying. Don't rob anybody of the experience of them trying to learn, because it's when they learn that way, and then they put that with what you are able to teach them. Now they're unstoppable.
Man, that's what it is, man. So, in closing, man, where can everybody find you guys, man, or reach you? I mean, throw out your social medias, throw out your
Oh man, we're
business
gonna be at
information,
Lefty's,
because I
man. We're
want
gonna
this
be at
to
Lefty's.
reach.
Come on down to Lefty. Get some
we're gonna
best
be down at
fried
Lefty's
rice.
eating.
Yeah, come on down. Lefty's fried rice. We get you together.
What's the
Best
address?
rice.
What's the address?
3000 South Jefferson, 63118. We open Monday through Saturday from 11 to 8.
Man, there it is. Sean, how can everybody reach you?
Just Lashun Washington, LASHUN Washington. That's on Instagram and Facebook. I got a couple of YouTube channels, so I'll be able to throw them in a little later, tie everything in. But yeah, Lashun Washington.
You gotta go. Hey, B, you gotta go check him out dancing, dog. On to the side piece, boy. I'm talking about your stomach gonna be hurting, man, when you watch it, dog. I'm telling you.
I'm getting ready to do some more, man. I'm getting ready to do some more.
Hey, man, you ever figure out how to get these VHSs on the disc, man, or a flash drive or something?
I'm still working on that, man. That's the technical side of things. I'm actually doing what is that, a highlight thing now, but I recorded it to the phone. So I'm taking the clips off the phone now. So I'm working on that, man.
I think I got one of your tapes.
I know, man. Look, I held on to yours for about 5 years. I gave you back, and then you held on to mine. So
right. I'm like, man, I gotta be one of BT tapes.
Man, man, folks don't understand, man. So